All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome into another episode of That's Bingo's Sports Podcast. I am Joe Hendry, joined by my co-host Jacob Beach and Kyle Eggers. Welcome back, Kyle. Good to have you back online here. How was Hawaii? How's being a husband early on for you?
You know, it's fantastic. One of us had to have sex eventually, so. And it
That's
was
wild.
you guys. As you will see in the coming episode, they will tell you why.
How many times did you golf out there, man?
I only golfed twice, actually, and yeah, it was fantastic. We were there for 7 days, and dude, we did so much. Like, we ziplined, we saw waterfalls.
Met Keith Lee.
We did meet Keith Lee. He was a nice guy. Yeah, I didn't even know who he was.
Right? Yeah,
literally none. I thought he was just a guy, but you know,
he's not a guy. He's him.
He's a guy. He's a guy. I thought you were him, but
well,
Beach is not him.
no,
we're
when
glad
it comes to random Arizona sports knowledge, yes, I am.
That is true. We
that
need a live showing of Beach's bedroom at some point. Just
We
like
do
a nice, just panoramic cam of what Beach's bedroom looks like, because it looks like probably like what the Hall of Fame for Arizona sports would look like.
It does not.
If there was one, it 100% does. Beach.
No, it doesn't.
Kyle, back me up here.
Beach, I hate to tell you this, but your room looks like a Tucson sports museum. I remember the first time I saw Beach's room, I thought I was on Punk'd. I said, is that
going to be charging admission?
You should. I looked at the ceiling. I said, is that the hardwood from the Final Four in 1997? Did you take the court? And he said, no.
He also has a fat head of himself on the wall, which I think is my favorite part.
And he's doing the Heisman.
Shout out to fourth grade Beach.
As with like number 67 or something like that, which is the best.
It was 39, close enough.
It was a swoop and score.
Oh man, we got a good show ahead for you guys. We'll go over some Sweet 16 Elite 8 recaps from last week. Beach and I covered, as well as a little bit of Final Four outlook. Probably not too much there, considering it's just we know what's going to happen. We'll dive into some NBA playoffs.
What's going to happen though?
And then probably a little bit on the Stefon Diggs trade to Houston. But you fellas ready to jump in?
Let's get this money.
All right, let's start with the Sweet 16. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now. U of A, brutal game against Clemson. Exactly what we said, Beach, in the previous episode happened. I'm going to allow you guys a time to process. I mean, you probably already have, but talk about that game. Get your emotions out. What went wrong? And just let me know what happened in that game.
I'll let Beach go first.
The thing that went wrong is that we couldn't make a basket. The more I have gotten out of the emotions of that game, the more I've just chalked it up as like sometimes there's just days in the NCAA tournament, especially, where shots don't fall. And if they do, you probably would have won the game. And if they don't, you're going home. I think there are things we could have done differently. I think we could have tried to force the ball inside a little bit more to Ballo. But at the same time, he wanted no part of those free throws that he was shooting. And we could have tried to be conscious to drive the paint more. But at the same time, it's hard to tell a team to stop playing the right way. They were passing the ball. They were getting wide open threes. They're taking shots that you generally want them to take. It's just that they simply would not go in. And so, yes, it's frustrating to once again lose to a seed that is 4 spots lower than you, like they have the last 6 times. But it's one of those things, like, what can you do when the shots just aren't falling? We saw the same thing with Marquette in a few hours later, or the next day. I can't remember when it was, but they couldn't make a shot. Against did they play NC State? Was that who they played? Yeah. So they couldn't make a shot, normal shots that they would hit, and all of a sudden they're going home. And that's kind of how the U of A game was. It was just like Caleb Love's 0 for 9. Pelle Larson was like 1 for 6 or something. Same thing with Kylan Boswell. Like, I want to say their guards were like 2 of 20, or we were 2 of 20 as total as a team from three. It's like, you shoot like that, it's hard to win. And then also getting down, 13 plus points right away, you immediately dig a hole. And while they were able to come back and get the game tied and take a lead for a brief period, they did so much work just trying to get back in the game that they didn't have enough to get over the finish line.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Beach, you hit the nail on the head, but I'm just going to talk about, I just feel like the culture of Arizona basketball. It feels like every other year, we watch Arizona in the regular season. It's like, this team has set a record for offensive efficiency and points in a game, and like they're the best team that's ever walked the face of the Pac-12. And then we get to the tournament and we poop ourselves. And it felt like the whole team caught Caleb Lovitis. Like we just, I think I remember looking at the stat line after the game, and I think we literally were like 5 of 30 from three or something. Like
5 of 28. Exactly.
Wow, I'm impressed that I was even close. Yeah, like that's just, you can't win a game when you're shooting like 15% from three. You can't. Like you literally cannot, especially if you're taking almost 30 of them. And like we probably shot less than 40% from the field as well. Like it was just, you just have a bad night some nights, and it feels like we just have those in March. Like it hurts. It just sucks. Like there's nothing, there's nothing really else that you can say besides we just couldn't score the basketball. Like I still think that team is infinitely better than Clemson, but here we are.
I mean, we see that every year though, right? And that's the NCAA tournament. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of a one game, tournament style thing. Any team, any given night can go out there and beat a better team, even if, they aren't the better team on paper, even if they aren't the better team in that season. They can go out there and get it done. I mean, that's what we see right now with NC State, who was literally a missed buzzer-beating 3 at the end of their game against Virginia in the ACA tournament. Oh wait, they were out of the tournament, and then somehow they go from that to winning that game in overtime, to then rattling off 5 straight in the ACC tournament, to now rattling off 4 straight in the NCAA tournament. So it's like, my biggest knock, I think, right now on Tommy Lloyd is not even like the in-game stuff. Like the in-game stuff, like what are you going to do? Tell your players to not miss the basketball? Like he's not out there. Like he can't do that. But my biggest thing is Arizona the last, I would say, 2 seasons and this season under Tommy Lloyd, they play their best basketball, it seems, in the first month or 2 of the season. And then it kind of stays at that point. They don't really get any better. And then the tournament comes and they're kind of just playing decent to okay. And then something happens in the tournament that's just, they play a bad game. We've seen that now. The Sweet 16 against Houston 2 years ago, same story. Houston's just more aggressive. We struggle. They win. Obviously, last year, everybody remembers the Princeton game where we were just dominated in terms of pace and just couldn't get anything going. And then same thing this year. It's just you run into some bad luck sometimes. But the thing is I think Tommy Lloyd will get it right. I think he's still learning as a coach, so I'm not on the whole bandwagon of, oh my gosh, you should be on the hot seat. It's like these games happen in March. It takes a lot for teams to break through, and it takes a lot of experience to frankly break through. So it's just unfortunate, but that's how the ball bounces.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned, Beach, the idea of playing good basketball at the beginning of the year, because I remember back when the season started, I was talking about that and just the gauntlet that U of A went through early on and that they came out of pretty strong. Right.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that and you being excited, but also saying like, but we need to pump the brakes a little bit. This isn't the time to be playing your best basketball, essentially. So interesting that you bring that up. It's almost like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I try.
I have a couple questions real quick. What would you say, Beach, you too, Kyle, to people like Jaden Bradley had a good game, right? He was probably the only decent offensive weapon during the game. Someone who
He's the only
says
bright
like
spot during the game, if we're being honest.
Yeah. So someone who says
Umar
like,
Ballo, I don't want to hate on Umar because when he did get his touches, like he got anything he wanted. So I don't want to hate on Umar, but Jaden Bradley was probably the biggest bright spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, would you would you have wanted? I mean, we've talked about all year long how Caleb Love was the only guy that really wanted the ball, especially in clutch moments. Really wanted to take front point when shooting. There was a lot of people that I heard out there that were clamoring to that often should have run through Jaden Bradley, things like that. Is that something that you probably would have supported? Hindsight's 2020. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
This is another gripe that I have currently against Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd is a loyal coach almost to a fault, it seems. This year, it was playing Kylan Boswell heavy minutes over Jaden Bradley at times. I think even in that game, like Jaden Bradley should have played more than 13 minutes in that second half. He was the only guy that was getting downhill. He was the only guy that was even confident looking on the offensive end. And Kylan, it was just MIA the entire game. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
And that same thing happened the year before with Kirk Kriisa. Ironically, it was Kylan Boswell instead that should have been playing more than Kirk Kriisa. But again, Tommy was loyal to a fault to his starting point guard. That's one thing I can knock him, I think, on right now. It's a little bit of a trend is that, and it's one of those things. Coaches can be loyal to their guys to a fault, but I mean, there are people talking the entire year like Jaden's got to get more minutes. He's got to get more opportunity. We need to see him. A lot of people, including myself, are like, hey, he should start over Kylan and we should see how it looks. But Tommy, to his credit and to now his credit of why he's out, rode Kylan Boswell, and ultimately we saw how that played out. It's one of those things that I would have liked to have seen Jaden Bradley play about 18 minutes that second half. And Kylan Boswell play about 3 instead of it being, I think it was 13 and 7. So it's frustrating, but again, it's obviously easier to say that, hindsight, but it's now a few years in a row that it's kind of happened where he's loyal to his guys to a fault when he probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, I agree, Beach. I mean, obviously we never know what's going on behind closed doors, but truly, like the last 10 games of the season, I would be so curious to see Kylan's stats because like he was not present besides that one game that he had like 20 in the first, round of 64. He was just not there. And I was like, why is this guy like playing? Like, but why is he starting? What are we seeing here? Because he's clearly shown that he is just bad. Like, I don't know if he's just in a slump or something. And, I'm sure he's a player's coach. He wants to believe in his guys, but it's just like, dude, you have to. He didn't react to anything. It almost reminds me of like Sean Miller going up against somebody that's going to play a zone defense against us again and have no plan going into it again.
Yeah.
It just really bothered me as the year got through.
That's how I felt too. It's frustrating when it's like you want to see some adjustments, you want to see some different things, and it's just like you're trotting out the same thing every time. And I think what it's looked like with Kylan is that against plus athletes that can really defend him and get into his shooting space, he just struggles, and if his shot's not there, and like you can tell if he doesn't really hit one of his first few shots, like it's going to be a rough game.
Yeah.
And that's hard to have as your point guard. You need a point guard to be consistent and the driving force of your offense. He doesn't have to be your best scorer, but he has to at least be a threat to score at times. And if Kylan didn't have his shot going that day, he wasn't really providing anything else on the offensive end.
Over the last 11 games of the season, he had 10 started. He was 25 minutes a game. He was averaging 8.8 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shooting 38% from the field. So, and the Wildcats went 7-4 to close the year over that stretch. So definitely a brutal stretch there with him. So, one more question there, Beach. Going over to the Big 12, I imagine much more difficult conference in basketball. What is the future outlook? Just obviously, it's going to be a sour taste at the end of the season, moving to a more difficult conference. Obviously, losing Caleb Love, things like that. What's the future look like for U of A basketball as it stands right now? What is your feel for it?
I mean, I'm very high on Tommy Lloyd. I'm still very impressed with what he's done in a short amount of time. I know people want to judge him on the 3 games he's lost in March, but you can't just judge a coach based on their March success. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, this is a guy that's won over 90 games. He's lost like 15, I want to say, in his 3 years here. Like, he's got an insane winning percentage, and he's proven he can recruit. the biggest thing that Arizona is going to need to do next year going into the Big 12 is they're going to have to get transfers in that are experienced, and they're going to have to get transfers in that are tougher. I think the biggest thing you're going to need to see is somebody that can come in and replace a guy like Keyshawn Johnson that can do the dirty work. And then depending on what Umar Balo decides to do, you're going to need to get somebody at center that can come in and play heavy minutes right away. Because I don't think Krivas or Emmanuel Steven, who's the 4-star that they're bringing in, is going to be nearly strong enough to play in the Big 12. If Arizona trots out a lineup, they're talking about a proposed lineup next year that's like Jaden Bradley and then 3 of their top recruits and then Krivas. That lineup's going to be too young, too inexperienced. They're just going to get eaten alive in the Big 12. They need to bring in some experienced guards and bigs that are mature players that can come in and contribute right away to let the freshmen kind of grow and pick their spots. Otherwise, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kyle, any other thoughts on that game or the U of A in general?
I'm just ready to be let down again, and I'll see you guys next year.
I will as well.
Yes, we will.
One of these days, it's going to all work out.
It
Or
will.
it won't. I'll just be miserable.
I honestly don't think it will.
I mean,
We'll
I
see.
think there's certain schools like UVA is one that comes to mind. Even Purdue run to the Final Four this year. Like teams that have struggled early in March, that one year they just break through. And from what I've heard, that makes it all worth it. So we'll keep rooting for them.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, Alabama did knock off North Carolina. So that was a big offensive game, 89-87. And then Bama beat Clemson there, 89-82. So they continued their really good run. Just a fast-paced offense that scores a lot. So they're fun
Just to get the chance to play UConn.
Yeah. We'll move over to that side. UConn, San Diego State, man, they beat us by 30. We were in the game for a long time.
Well,
and then you weren't.
And then it flipped. I remember I was telling Beach, I was actually editing our last episode in the middle of it, and I took a few minutes off when we were tied at halftime, and then I came back with like 12 minutes left in the second half, and we were down by like 30. And I was like, oh, okay. So that happened really fast.
Yeah.
I don't think San Diego State played bad either. We played a good game. They genuinely, it looked like a team of high schoolers versus a team of junior hires, just in terms of size and their ability to just do things better.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it came down to.
This is how it feels right now. It feels like UConn is just far and away the best team in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if they play Purdue, if they can say something about that with Zach Edey.
Yep.
I don't think they will. UConn is the best team. They have the most experience. They have the most depth. They have NBA caliber players all over their roster. They have an experienced and very, very good head coach in Danny Hurley. They've got everything that you want, and it's proving that shows that they're beating teams by 10 plus in the tournament. I think it's like a streak, I want to say, of like 10 plus games now.
Yeah.
So,
but they don't have that aura.
they might have that aura. I think they have the aura.
They have DJ Burns. NC State to the national championship. UConn by 300 points.
Oh man. Let's talk about NC State, Kyle. You brought that up, man. Like they beat Duke. Did they beat him in the ACC tournament as well?
They sure did.
Yep. That's twice in a row. That's unbelievable. Like Marquette, obviously, wasn't necessarily a pretty game by NC State, but Marquette couldn't hit shots. They beat them by 9. Does a big body like DJ Burns give them any chance against someone like Edey?
No.
All right, good. We're on
Although,
the same page there.
In their defense, I've been saying they've been cooked since the start of the tournament. So, I mean, maybe it does, but the problem is, like, for as good as DJ Burns has been, Edey is just on another level in terms of size. Yeah. Like, he's the one guy that, like, nobody in America can match up with. So it's DJ Burns is going to have a size advantage. He's not going to have a strength advantage. So it's like, it's one of those things. Like Edey has just been far and away one of the best players in college basketball, even though he gets the whistle every single time, which is another topic for another day. But I'd be shocked if NC State beat him, but I'm also shocked that they're here. So
yeah,
I hope it keeps going for him. It's been fun.
I hope NC State wins the Natty. That would just be insane. That would literally be awesome. Incredible.
Talk about March Madness.
I know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jimmy V.
Facts,
dude. A couple more. I mean, that Illinois-Iowa State game was so much fun. man.
It was.
Then Illinois got the honor of playing UConn.
Dude, a 30-0 run.
That was
30-0.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's just, I don't know. It's again one of those things. It's just UConn's just bigger, better, and stronger, and other teams just don't have what they have.
Yeah,
and
100%.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Creighton lost to Tennessee.
Put them in the Final Four.
I had them.
True.
No, I didn't. I didn't have them.
Creighton lost to Tennessee. Then Tennessee lost a really good game to Purdue. Edie put up 40. Connect had 37. That one was just back and forth there. A lot of fun. And then we got Purdue, NC State, UConn, Alabama in the Final Four. I think we will all be on the same page here. Purdue, UConn in the championship with a repeat champion is my guess.
Yeah, I think
it feels that way.
Yeah, I think Vegas literally has UConn as minus money to win the national championship. Yeah, last I saw, it was plus 150 when NC State lost, or excuse me, UNC lost.
I mean, it's like they have 2 games left. They're going to be favored in every game they play from here on out. So it's
makes sense.
It obviously makes sense. They're minus money now.
Minus 200.
I have minus 185. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
And they're going to somehow turn this plane thing. Have you guys seen that? They're going to somehow turn that into fuel, and they're going to beat Alabama.
They tried to not get us to the game.
Yeah,
something like that.
They're just it's one of those things. They're just taking anything they can at this point. That they're the underdogs. It's like you aren't the underdog, but we'll let you be the underdog, I guess.
Yeah, I will say I appreciate a lot of times there's these really good teams that are annoying, things like that. They have certain players that get under your skin or coaches that say things. I'm like, I don't get that from UConn, to be honest. I like Hurley. I think I've seen interviews with him recently, and he kind of he's a straight shooter. He says it as it is, and he's willing to kind of say things that are that go against the mainstream, and I like that. And then none of their players really feel like they're super annoying either, big personalities. So they got a fantastic program over there.
They're just good. They're just better than you, and they know it.
Yep, and they prove it too. So
yeah.
Anything else with the Final Four or the March Madness tournament?
Next time, let's just all be born in Connecticut.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I mean, what else would we have then?
I have 4 national titles since I've been born. Yeah. That's more than I have now.
That's true. We always say that if Beach was born in Boston, he would have been the worst sports fan ever.
If Beach was born in Boston, I probably would not be friends with him. And that is
this is true.
That is a real thing.
I should have been born in Boston.
No. You would not have us, Beach.
That is a fact.
No, but I'd have championships.
You would. Well, let's move over towards the NBA and let's talk about another ringless team there. We'll get to the Suns.
Is that necessary?
Yes.
Let's actually go over to the NBA as a whole right now. Let's talk about the Western Conference. Man, the Eastern Conference, the Celtics have run away with it. Really, they feel like the odds-on favorite to come out of that. We can talk about the East a little bit, but let's talk about the West, man. That whole group of teams, I mean, 4 through 10 really could go anywhere. Probably 5 through 10 would be more realistic, but I want to hear what you guys
probably more like 4 through 9 because Golden State, Golden State, I don't think would jump up into that top 6.
It's fair,
but 4 through 9 is a possibility for any of them. Which is crazy.
Talk about it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the playoffs. What do you guys think happens? Who makes the play-in tournament there? Who's safe? Talk to me.
Beach?
I honestly have no idea who's going to be in the play-in. This is crazy. This is going to be the stat that I was going to pull out. But the difference between the 1 seed and the 10 seed in the West is the same difference between the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the East.
Wow,
that's wild.
I mean, first of all, that shows you how good Boston's been this year, that they're that much far and ahead, ahead of the Bucks, I think it is right now. Yeah. But then at the same time, it shows you just how close the West is. I mean, you've got, I think, 9 teams, and then the Warriors. Are the Warriors over 40 wins? You've at least got 9 teams over 40
41
wins right
and 34 is where Golden State's at right now.
Yeah, so you've got 10 teams over 40 wins that are all battling it out to kind of be right there. it's going to be crazy. And a lot of these teams, like I'm a Suns fan, obviously, clearly. So I know their schedule. They play the Clippers twice here in their last 6 games. They play the Timberwolves twice, and they play the Pelicans once. So it's like they have a huge say on what the outcome of these standings are going to be, which is exciting. Like that's all you could ever want as a basketball fan is like you're coming down the last 6, 7 games of the year. You're playing the teams that are in front of you or right by you to determine your playoff order. If I had to bet who was going to be that top 6, I think right now I'd probably say it'll be a combination of Denver, OKC, and Minnesota in those top 3 spots. I think the Clippers just have too much of an advantage to drop out of one of those top 6 spots. So I think it'll be them. I think Dallas will sneak in there. And then I think the Suns somehow end up in the 6th spot. They play the Pelicans one more time. The Pelicans have been struggling a little bit. If the Suns can beat the Pelicans at home on Sunday, that gives them the tiebreaker and the advantage in terms of kind of getting a leg up on them to get that last and final spot. So I think that's who the top 6 are going to be, which then means you're looking at a play-in of the Kings, the Pelicans, the Warriors, and the Lakers, which that just sounds like great basketball.
I like the sound of that, man. That sounds electric. Kyle,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Beach, I like the take. I knew that you were going to say the Suns were going to end up with that higher seed, but honestly, I don't know. Like,
I don't
think
know
that
either.
I just think that playing the Clippers twice and the Kings and the T-Wolves is scary to me if I'm a Suns fan. Like, I see you splitting those, realistically.
Yeah.
And the
I do
Pelicans, good.
I was going to say, I do too. The only thing that's kind of making me think different, one, the Suns look good right now, which is one of the few times they've actually played competent basketball this entire season. And then 2, the Clippers have fallen off the face of the earth lately. I don't know what's happened to them. And then the Pelicans, we just seem to match up really well against them. And so playing them one more time, they're also not playing their best basketball. I think we could sneak in there. Same thing with the Kings. We've kind of had their number this season, even though they've been they had like a 22-point lead on us in the 4th quarter in one of those games and still ended up losing.
Yeah.
Truthfully, just like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if the Suns got all the way and we're a top 6 seed. I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden we're sitting down at the 9 seed somehow. It's just kind of how it's gone so far this season.
What I will say is, I don't even know. I think it'll be I loosely agree with that order, Beach. I think that I'd flip the Pelicans and the Suns just because they play the Blazers and the Spurs in their last few games. But the Lakers and the Warriors are like, dude, I would not want to play them in the play-in tournament right now.
No.
Like, Steph Curry is doing Steph Curry things. They've won their last 5 games in a row. The Lakers are 8-2 in their last 10. Like,
yep.
I am terrified if I am sitting in that at the top of that play-in and having a matchup with the Lakers and Warriors. And I'm honestly scared if I'm the 1 and 2 seed. Like, if I'm the T-Wolves, I do not want to play the Lakers or the Warriors. You don't. Like, you do not want to play them first round. So I hate to say it, but like the Lakers look good, and I absolutely would not want them to go and play the Timberwolves first round because I could see the T-Wolves losing that series in 5.
Yeah, that's
tough.
It's going to be interesting to see if Karl Anthony Towns is back yet. With his injury, if he somehow can get back, then Minnesota.
It says he was supposed to. Last I heard, he was supposed to, but like even if
it's one of those, how good is he
like,
going to be? Like,
right, exactly.
Even if he's 100%, you still haven't played competitive basketball in 6 weeks or whatever it's been. So, how ready is he going to be to contribute? Like Cat can contribute when he's 100% healthy and right.
Yeah.
And then we've seen Gobert in the playoffs lately, and it hasn't always been pretty. Yeah. So it's like, is he going to be the Gobert that's the defensive player of the year? He's blocking shots, he can stay on the floor, or is it going to be the guy where all of a sudden a team goes small? Like if they play the Suns, and all of a sudden the Suns are rolling out Kevin Durant at the 5, and he's having to like switch out onto him. It's like, man, that's a tough matchup for the Timberwolves. So we'll see how that goes.
The NBA is so funny because like very few sports does the regular season literally just like not matter as much as the NBA does. And like if I am the Timberwolves going into either the Warriors or the Lakers, I'm pretty scared, especially because like, dude, I think the Timberwolves are also 8-2 in their last 10, but like I don't care. Like if you have a 7-game series and you're dependent on a player like Rudy Gobert to show up, players like Nas Reed to show up who just like haven't done it. It's just pretty much Ant against everybody. Like, dude, I just think that it's very much like the Timberwolves give me 2018 Hawks vibes or 2016 Hawks. If you remember that team, like
Yeah.
really good regular season team. They're
and then
just
they ran into LeBron.
Exactly. Like
Congratulations.
So
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I'm excited for it. I think that the West is wide open though. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, like, you just mentioned the West feels wide open. I feel like the Nuggets would still be the favorites to come out of the West, considering what they've done recently. They still have
Jokic is insane.
And obviously Jamal Murray performs in the playoffs. That's just kind of
Playoff
what he does.
Jamal.
I mean, I imagine you would have a leaning towards the Suns being one of the teams who come out of the West. What are other options, though, that you guys see? I mean, the Clippers are very talented. Obviously, Dallas made a couple trades there at the deadline that they've been playing well. What are a couple teams that you see that, like, hey, this team could for sure make a run? They could be a potential threat to what Denver has going on.
Let me eat my words here. Sorry, go ahead, Beach.
No, you can go.
Yeah, I want to hear you eat your words, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat my words. So I've been the Clippers' #1 hater. You guys know that. I do not like this team at all. But they put it together when they want to. And like I would be pretty nervous going up against a team that has Kawhi and James Harden among the rest of their very good supporting cast. Like
Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But yes, yeah, exactly. Like I'm just talking about like two guys that have been in very serious, deep playoff runs. Like them two specifically. Like, yeah, PG's done his thing like against LeBron, but I'm more so talking about them two. Like that's a scary team to run into, and they're all veteran guys. Like they have probably been coasting, like load management type beat, but like I think that they could. Behind the Nuggets, honestly, I see in the West, I see the Clippers as the #2 team that I would probably be most confident in, and then after that, I think it's like the Thunder and the Suns right there in the next tier.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I like that take. I truthfully don't want any part of the Clippers. Even though they haven't been playing great. I mean, I know Kawhi Leonard got hurt last year, and that's what you're kind of seeing with them. It's like, yeah, they've waited to put it together, but they haven't been able to put it together because none of them have been healthy when they've gotten to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I remember last year in game 1, it was Kawhi and, like Russell Westbrook against the Suns with KD and Book, and it was like Kawhi was the best player on the court in game 1. And he still has that. He still has that ability to not only lock you down on one end defensively, but to still give you that 35 on the offensive end too. Yeah. And then adding James Harden, still having Paul George, they've got a lot of talent. Ty Lue's a really good playoff coach. Like, I don't want to see them. I'm kind of with you that as long as they don't drop too far, like if they don't drop into that, like where they're having to play Denver round 1, or they're having to play like, OKC round 1, which I think would be a tough matchup too. Like, I think they're a threat to get out of it. I think if they can stay at that kind of 4 spot and get whoever it is, whether that gets to the 5, whether it's Dallas or New Orleans, or even the Suns, whoever it might be, like I think that's what they would prefer. So at my 1, it's still Denver because Jokic has been insane. The Nuggets at their best are insane. At my 2, it's probably OKC. I've loved what they've done this year. They have depth everywhere. My biggest question is obviously, are they too young? But I've seen teams in the past that have been supposedly too young and they get to the finals. So I don't think that's a reason to.
The Thunder 10 years ago,
exactly.
Like perfect example.
Yes, exactly. I think they've got the pieces to put it together. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is him. And so I think they're right there with the Clippers is my next tier. And then in that third tier, I think there's a lot of teams with a lot of question marks. I think it's the Timberwolves, like we talked about with Cat and his health, and also Rudy Gobert. I love Anthony Edwards, but you don't really know what you're getting from the other two right now. The Suns are in that group where it's like, yeah, I don't want to see the Suns in the playoffs, but at the same time, the Suns haven't looked like a playoff team all year. So what are we getting from them? Yeah. And then same thing with the Pelicans, Kings. Lakers, Warriors, it's like, yeah, like the talent's there, but they haven't really put it together this year, and injuries have been a concern for all those teams. So it's a fun time. I love the West, obviously, because it's so close. It feels like there's 2-3 weeks left in the season, and it could shake out any number of ways, and that's exciting.
Who's your guys' championship pick then? Do you think someone from the West comes out and takes it, or what do you think the Celtics will?
From what I've seen, I have trouble going against what the Celtics are doing right now. They're very good. So
I think Boston feels matchup dependent to me, if I'm being honest.
That's fair.
Dude, I don't know. I hear 100% what you're saying, Beach, but dude, I was watching this game. I don't know why. I know the Thunder Shea was out last game, but the Thunder played the Celtics, and the Celtics won by 40. They were just outclassing that team, and they're getting hot at the right time. I know that their conference has been weaker, but dude, they've won 60 games already. This has been a very good NBA season. They've won 60 games. They have the star power. They've had the experience. I think the addition of Kristaps
players, and Drew, they've got role players way more than they ever had.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hear you.
Matchup dependent though, Beach. What kind of matchup do they?
If they play Denver, I would pick Denver.
Interesting.
I think if they play a big, and really the only one that would come out of the West would be Jokic. Maybe Embiid, if he's healthy, could give him some problems with Philly, but I don't think Philly has the horses to really stay in a series with Boston. But if they play Denver again, I don't think they can slow down Jokic. And then if you can't slow down Jokic, you play the pace at his game, or you play the game at his pace. So it's all of a sudden they're getting into a slower game, into a game where it's very much half court based, and that dude dominates in the half court and just gets easy shots for his teammates or for himself. And I know Boston can make tough shots. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, when they're at their best, can do that. But I think if they were to play Denver, they'd have a very tough time winning that series.
What I will say, no offense, Beach, think for NBA viewership, I think everybody's pulling for Nuggets Celtics in the finals. I think that would be an electric series.
The NBA is not pulling for Nuggets Celtics, though. I don't know if they want to see Denver
as an NBA fan.
They want Lakers Celtics.
As an actual basketball fan, it would be electric to watch. I'd be really intrigued by that series.
I think if the Celtics play literally anybody else from the West, I think that they win in 5 games.
Yeah, because that's what I mean when I say matchup. The only times the Celtics have really struggled is when they've had to try to guard a good center. And it's who poses that problem the best? Well, it's Denver with Jokic.
Yep.
You're also more talking about a center that works good in the half court situation, not one that works more in transition. I match like a Giannis or something like that. That wouldn't concern you if they played the Bucks, right?
Giannis can cause problems with them too. I mean, he has in years past. I think my biggest thing is the Bucks with Doc Rivers don't seem like they know what they're doing. I mean, I think they're 15-15 since he took over.
Yeah.
So it's not like they are inspiring a lot of confidence right now. Now, obviously, it's Giannis, and when they're playing at their best, I think they can obviously beat anybody in the NBA. But I think Boston over a 7-game series would just have more talent and would walk away with that series.
Yeah, such a bad hire. I know we've talked about this 3 times, but the Doc Rivers hire just still makes no sense to me. But whatever.
I don't know why they got rid of Adrian Griffin. It just makes no sense, none whatsoever.
Yeah,
they were 30-13. I want to say.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Adrian Griffin to me makes sense based on what the players were saying, but replacing him with Doc Rivers doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. We know I'm familiar with your game. I don't.
One of the wildest parts about that hire too was that I guess Griffin was supposedly talking to Doc Rivers about coaching and getting tips and tricks and stuff about coaching or whatever, and then he's brought in to replace him. Just a weird story to me that doesn't make sense when your championship window is now, right? I mean, you got Dame who's older, you got Giannis, you still have a very good team overall. So yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me. Let real quick. I mean, obviously Boston is the heavy favorite. I'd imagine that a healthy Embiid in Philadelphia is probably their biggest threat in the East. Um, Obviously, without Randall being out for the rest of the season in New York, Milwaukee, who knows what they'll do? But I mean, what do you guys think about that? Is Philly probably their biggest threat with Embiid healthy?
I think the Bucks still are number 2 in the East, like in terms of an actual title shot. But like we've just talked about, I don't think it's probable that they get there. I think that they'll probably play the Celtics, and I bet you the Celtics take that series. Beach, do you disagree?
No, I don't. I think Boston probably comes out of the East unless they kind of fall apart, which we have seen before.
It's true.
It wouldn't be out of the question. So, but unless something crazy happens or some sort of injury, which I pray doesn't happen, I think they get out of the East.
One stat that I just looked up that I think is incredibly relevant is they're the number 1 seed. They're going to have home court advantage for the entire playoffs. They are 33-3 at home this year.
Yep.
That's insane.
That's wild.
That is insane. I remember. Do you guys remember how many games it was straight that they won at home to start the year? I can't even remember, but that was like a stat that kept.
It was like
going
26,
viral.
maybe, I think.
Yeah, something insane. But like you, as a good basketball team, a championship basketball team, you win your games at home, and they're doing that like at a better clip than anybody in the NBA by far.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, now that they've locked up the number 1 seed, regardless of conference, it's like you win your home games, you win a title. Like
Exactly.
That's the benefit of being the number 1 overall seed. It's like you win your home games, you've won the NBA championship at that point. So, and they deserve it. I mean, 60 wins is nothing to be sneezing at. Obviously, that's a great accomplishment for them. So, let's just see if they can
100%.
get it done in the playoffs.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else with the NBA, Beach, that you want to bring up, Kyle?
The Rams.
I'm just excited to watch these last 2 weeks. I'm excited to see how the West shakes out and all the different possibilities there. And NBA playoff basketball is, in my opinion, the highest level basketball is played at. So
it's so much fun.
It's a fun time to watch.
Yeah. One quick question before we move on from the NBA. You did mention how the West shakes out. I mean, Houston technically not out yet. They're looks like 3 games behind Golden State. Is there any shot for them to sneak in over Golden State in that last spot?
I don't think so. I don't think there's enough games left. I think they obviously have been on a great run, but it's like they've got, they're 3 games back with 6 to play. It's like you're hoping the Warriors basically go, 2-4 and you go 5-1. Like that's tough to do.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing them right now too, 56-50 right now in the second quarter for Golden State. So it's a big one.
If they win that, then they at least have a little bit more of a chance. But if they lose, then they're pretty much cooked.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would hate to bet against Steph Curry in mid to late April.
Yeah, I would.
He's a scary individual to play.
I am praying the Suns don't end up in the play-in because I do not want to see Steph.
Bro, he is.
I would love to play Sacramento in the first round at home and then hopefully win that one and just sail into the 7th seed if we do end up in the play-in.
Dude, like that, I still think that one of the most impressive championships ever was that most recent Warriors one, like where, Steph beat the washed allegations. Like it was it was literally insane to watch him just cook. And so I mean, he's 36 years old now. I'm like the same wash allegations have been there all season, and the Warriors have not looked great. But like, dude, don't let that team get hot.
Is he still putting up 30? No, he's putting up 26 a game. Still, that's insane. I was just curious as to like what was he putting up? Yeah, he's at 26 a game right now.
He's having a down year by his standards, like across the board, pretty much.
Yeah,
but, like
which is like it's seasons that other people would die to have.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's still an all-NBA caliber season.
Yeah, the dude's insane. The dude is insane. Part of me has always had a soft spot for the Warriors. I know everybody hates them, but the dude's just so fun to watch play. Steph is so fun to watch play. I hate Draymond, but Steph is just amazing.
I want to see Draymond punch Yusuf Nurkic and get thrown out of a playoff series.
I want to see him, dude. I want to see Draymond get arrested at half court, and then they continue with the game.
I want to see Chris Paul in the playoffs just to go against Scott Foster. I just want to see that.
That would be electric, and then just bet on the other team.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot here real quick. We talked about NBA award predictions, I think, at the beginning of the season. I know we had a few of them. I think we went over like MVP, things like that. What are some NBA award predictions that you guys have? I think Kyle, you and I had Doncic for MVP, if I remember correctly. I don't remember who Beachy had.
Probably
still on that train. You still on that train, Kyle?
No. I mean, I think that he's had an MVP caliber season, honestly, but I don't know. I would like to see
9 and 9, almost 10 at each.
Yeah,
he's incredible. I don't know how. I hate to keep giving the award to the same guy, but how do you not give the award to Nikola Jokic? You know what I mean? Like, it's the guy is by definition the MVP. Like, he is that entire team. That team would be significantly worse off without him. And he is a legitimate threat to go for 20-20-20 at any night. It's insane. It's literally insane. He dominates the game. So does Luka. But I think Luka's probably more fun to watch. Jokic is just dominant. I think Jokic is going to win. I would really like to see Luka win just from voter fatigue. And Luka's averaging like 1 million points a game. Like, it'd be cool, but I don't think he wins it.
I think that's what will happen. Like, LeBron should have won the MVP all those years, year after year, but he didn't. I think because people got bored. I think that's what will happen. I mean, Doncic is putting up 34 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Like,
that's incredible.
And they're in position to make the playoffs. You know, not too far behind the Nuggets. Like, I think the voter fatigue will kick in, but I 100% would understand if Jokic won again.
I think he will, unfortunately.
Beach, what do you think?
As much as it pains me to say, Luka is going to win this MVP.
You think he will?
Yeah. Voter fatigue is going to play a role, obviously. There's not a strong candidate in the East, although you guys are touching a nerve right now because I've seen so many Jason Tatum for MVP arguments. And I was like, where were you guys when Devin Booker was averaging 27 a game on the best team in the NBA? But which is like you said, Joe, 34 9-9 is crazy. They're probably going to be a top 5 seed, depending on how things shake out. He's like, how do you not give it to him? The only other one I think that could sneak up there because he's averaging not that crazy of stats, but he's averaging really good stats is Shea.
Yeah,
and they're at the 2 seed. So now does he kind of creep up there? Possibly, but I don't think he's going to have the push that Luka will have.
Yeah, I'm so confident that Jokic is going to win this award again. Like, I'm delusionally confident. I just
put money on you right now. Dude, put your money where your mouth is.
Somebody shake my hand.
Round of golf.
I'm shaking your hand.
I want to shake your hand.
Shake your hand.
All right. Well, I look forward to you guys paying for my round of golf with my Jokic jersey on.
I will see you the day after the MVP award is handed.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I did not know that Jalen Brunson is putting up 28 a game.
Yeah, he's him. I love that guy.
That's insane.
He also looks like Kyler Murray.
Dude, okay. Just...
You guys, no, hear me out. Have you guys ever looked at like a side-by-side of them? It's hilarious.
Why would I look at a side-by-side?
It's so funny.
Brunson and
I
Kyler
see
Murray.
Kyler every time I look at him, like especially when he has the dreads.
Everywhere you look anywhere.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, it is.
They're both 5'10" and have dreads, and they have the same like facial features. It's
is
hilarious.
Jalen Brunson 5'10"?
Yes.
There's no way he's 5'10".
I don't believe you. I bet you he's 6'2". I'm Googling.
He might be 6'2".
He's listed at 6'2".
He's not 6'2".
Wow. What a
He's
guess.
listed at 6'2".
That means he's probably 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
That means he's probably 6 feet tall.
Just meet in the
That's
middle.
incredible.
Yeah, that's wild. Good for you guys.
Beach, you remember when I was listed at 6'2"?
Dude, I put myself as like 6'1", I think, and I was like, yeah, I'm not 6'1".
Coach,
Go for it, dude.
Our coach listed our starters. He put that our center who was how tall was Lucas? Like 6'8" at the time?
Yeah, maybe.
He put that he was 6'11", and just like blatantly lying. He put that Aaron Noller, if you're listening, he put that Aaron Noller was 6'6".
It was like 6'2".
Bro.
Yeah.
And I was a cool 5'10" at this time in my life.
Yeah.
5'11" and a half in Air Forces. And he put me in there at 6'2", and I think 180 pounds. I was probably soaking wet 145.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I remember my coach put me walking into my senior year in the little program. I look at it after the game, and I'm like, why am I listed at 6'3", 180? And I'm like,
That's
that's
even worse.
My dad is 6'3", 180. I'm like 6 foot 150 or something like that. At the time, I was probably like 5'11", 140 as a tiny little senior in high school, dude. Like, small guy. I'm like, I don't even look anything like that size. Not remotely close. Like,
That is awesome. That's honestly
you would
amazing.
have legitimately had to suit up my dad in my uniform for me to look anything like that. So
Shout out to Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
oh, good stuff with the NBA. Well, we'll talk about our last thing here. Stefon Diggs traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. Along with Diggs, I think goes a 6th rounder this year and a 5th rounder next year. The order flipped, and then going back to Buffalo is a 2nd rounder next season. Kyle, I want your immediate reaction to the trade. I have plenty of thoughts on that, but let's hear your thought process.
Yeah, I mean, all this to stop Puka Nacua is just absurd. No, I think that this trade's kind of weird to me. Like, I don't know why the Texans did this. Like, Nico Collins absolutely emerged. Tank Dell looked very good. You'd want to get them reps, right? Like,
yeah.
And then you give up a 2nd rounder in the process. Like, I don't get it. Like, I know you want to get Stroud more weapons. Like, they don't. I mean, we don't care about stats. We don't care about fantasy football, like, type argument, that's a fact. But
yeah.
like, I think that they didn't really need it. I'd rather have the 2nd round pick, honestly. And they also, just puzzling to me, they restructured Diggs so that he only has 1 year. So this isn't even like a long-term play. Like,
I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't either.
Literally he said, Stefon, let's take out the last 3 years of your deal. He said, okay, this is the 1st year of his extension he signed.
Yeah, it makes I don't understand. Like, I don't get the move from the Texans. Like, in a vacuum, like, if the logic is just, oh, let's get CJ Stroud more talent, yes, but you're giving up a 2nd round pick for a year of Stefon Diggs. Like, do you think you're championship windows right now? Like, what do you I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Beach.
Cook.
No.
They're pushing the chips all into the middle of the table on CJ Stroud's rookie contract.
They are.
That is what they are doing, and I absolutely love to see it. They are saying, we are going to give our rookie quarterback, who proved last year that he is a very, very good NFL quarterback and possibly elite. Hopefully that he turns into elite this year.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly elite. You're giving him every single weapon that he could have that would give him the chance to succeed. It's something that I wish more GMs would do, because he is still going to be paid a fraction of what he is actually worth if he goes out there and outperforms his contract like he did last year. So I'm fine with it, especially like we talked about, like, getting him down to only 1 year. If he walks after 1 year, so be it. Like, whatever. It's so cool to see a team that says, hey, our quarterback had a lot of flashes last year. He's on his rookie deal. Let's go for it right now and try to see if we can't maybe make a run at a Super Bowl while he's being paid like a rookie quarterback. It's something that we always talk about, where it's like teams then have to start paying their quarterbacks more. It becomes harder and harder to build these Super Bowl contenders. This is when they have to go for it. So I don't necessarily love it, because I don't think Stefon Diggs is that much of an upgrade at wide receiver, but at the same time, it shows an aggressiveness and a willingness to try to bring a winner to Houston, and so for that, I'm for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't mind that take, Beach. I do think that, like, if you're gonna give up 2nd round draft capital, that I'd probably want to do it in an area that I was weaker in. But that's just me. I do think that the Texans have a chokehold on the AFC South. Like, the Jags, Colts, and Titans, a whole lot of mid. I think that the
it
biggest
doesn't inspire confidence in anyone.
biggest threat is the Jags if Trevor Lawrence just decides to, be Trevor Lawrence, what he was supposed to be doing. But
I know what Joe's thinking right now.
Joe is going to pull up he's going to send me 3 StatMuse links and tell me why Trevor Lawrence's completion percentage.
That's not what he's
Trevor.
thinking. That's
Not
not what
Trevor.
he's thinking.
Are you thinking Anthony Richardson?
Anthony
Yes, he
Richardson
is.
and Shane
Yes, he
Steichen
is.
are going to go crazy
Yep.
next year. That's
No,
all I'm
dude.
saying.
Knew it.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you think
I can see it in his eyes.
What's that?
Do you think they win that division?
No, I mean, look, if I'm honest, Houston probably wins the division. I think
That's a
they will genuinely be pushed by Indianapolis, though, 100%. I mean, they won 9 games with Gardner Minshew this year.
The Colts are going to
Jefferson
win 9
looked
games again.
fantastic. I believe in the Colts, man. I believe in Steichen. That's the biggest.
Do you think
thing.
they're winning? How many games are they winning? Tell me right now. Bold take.
I wouldn't be surprised if both teams win 11. I think it'll look a lot like the AFC East this past year.
I like that.
I'm taking the under on that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Round
Another round of golf. I'm going to be golfing twice with my
with the money you're paying for our rounds.
with my Stefon Diggs jersey.
Yeah, that Diggs trade, it just feels like a C grade trade for both teams to me. Like I think like the Bills get worse at receiver for sure. Diggs is not what he once was. I think Diggs is in the same area as like a Mike Evans, Keenan Allen receiver to me now. Just he's not in that upper echelon of guys anymore. He lost a lot of juice, but he's still a productive wide receiver who still gets a lot done in the short range to intermediate range. And now like Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel are the top 2 guys, Dalton Kincaid, right? Like that doesn't inspire confidence. At the same time, I do think like this is a very wide receiver heavy draft. I think Buffalo will get one. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade up for one. I mean, there's rumors of they could go get Brandon Ayuk. They could go get T. Higgins. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll keep the pick. Someone like Brian Thomas makes sense for them.
He would be so sick.
Even someone like Keon Coleman, right, that can stretch the field. Like, I love Curtis Samuel in a Joe Brady offense. I really do think Khalil Shakir is good. Dalton Kincaid caught 73 balls this season. That offense is going to be fine because they have Josh Allen. I'm not necessarily worried. That being said, it is a blow to the wide receiver room. And you take on a pretty heavy dead cap money or dead cap number, I think, because of trading him. For Houston, it's not the getting Diggs part that's the problem to me. It's the team fit. Because, it's Nico and Tank Dell, and they're both outside wide receivers. Like, there's the really common misconception that because Tank Dell is small that he's a slot guy. He's not. He does his best work on the outside. That's where Diggs works as well. Like I almost think for team fit, they would have been better off going after Tyler Boyd at a much cheaper price, probably a 2-year deal. Let him work out of the slot. He's an upgrade over Robert Woods. So I don't know. There's a lot of different. Like if Bobby Slowick improves, I think his game calling a lot. This move could end up being huge for them, right? If he's not just run pass every single time. Because I don't think it's going to work. Pass. Like he's going to run up the middle with Joe Mixon.
Like run pass.
He's going to get 5 total yards, and then CJ Stroud's going to have to bail him out. So, I mean, they could, if they decide to open it up, run a lot more 3-4 wide receiver sets. Maybe it works out for them. The team fit's just confusing to me. That being said, they got a good player, so I can't really knock them for that. Just doesn't feel like a needle mover to me for either of these teams to make. So. It's just a big name. It's very exciting, obviously, but it'll be interesting. I'm really fascinated to see how the Texans, how they evolve, right, and how that offense comes along. Can Stroud support 3 really good wide receivers? Also,
very large fantasy impact, honestly.
Oh, 100%. That'll be a lot of fun there. And I mean, Noah Brown had his game last year, so I think they'll be.
Dude, he was him. I started him that week.
Yeah, they'll be like high-end wide receiver 2s, flexes, and whatnot. So, but Tank Dell's injury, if he comes back slow, does make more sense to me. It's like, hey, let's go get someone to ease Tank Dell into the season again after he snapped his ankle or whatever. But yeah, definitely not my favorite trade for either team, considering the positions they were in. But it could work out. I mean, this is one of those where I could easily see things going right for both sides. So,
I'm ready for the draft.
Dude, I am pumped for the draft, man.
Same.
I can't wait. We will be there.
No, we will not.
Not be there because it's in Detroit, Joe. We're not going to Detroit.
Fine. Next year in Green Bay, we'll be there.
All right.
We
Can
will
they
not
have it
be
in a
there
state
either.
that is close to any of us?
Can they have it in a state that has real people?
Yes.
Fair enough. I'll call Roger Goodell and see if I can make that happen.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, he really would. I'll give him a piece of my mind. No, I'm super pumped
sure
for
you
the
will.
draft, man. Beach, I proposed this to you the other day. You've had more time to consider. If, again, you want Marv. I know you want Marv. But if
I
you
do
were
want
to
Marv.
trade back, give up Marv, get a later pick in the top 10 or so, and take a Dunze, how you feeling?
I feel okay depending on what our draft return is. Like if Minnesota gives us a haul to come up to number 4, and I'm like, all right, fine. Like at the end of the day, we're not a wide receiver away. So it's not like getting Marvin Harrison Jr. greatly improves the outlook of this team in 2024. But gosh darn it, I want Marvin Harrison Jr. So
Yes, you do.
I'd feel okay, but it would really depend on how much we got back. If we're getting like multiple, like a first this year and like another first somewhere else, like it'd be like, all right, fine. But if not, then it's like it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
I think you're overthinking it. This is your analytics showing, Joseph. You take Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's fair.
You take
That's
him.
fair.
Marvin Harrison Jr. No matter what.
Look,
That's a fact.
I just watched
Until-
Draft Day again, so
Until Monty Ossenfort trades down with the Vikings and then trades up to
back
number
up
5
to the Chargers.
and takes Marvin Harrison Jr. while the Chargers trade down to get their tackle that they want. For whatever
No,
reason.
we don't need a tackle.
You
Don't
guys
even get me
take a tackle.
speech. We need to finish the show here.
You
Don't even
guys,
get me
you
started.
guys need a backup left tackle.
Here's what's going to happen. You guys ready? Are you
I'm
ready?
going to go insane if we take a tackle.
Joe, I know
Kyle.
you stop talking. Here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to trade your pick this year,
Mm-hmm.
your pick next year, and 2/3 to trade up to 1. And then you're going to take Joe Alt 1, and then Justin Herbert is going to come out and tell everyone that he and Tony Snell were in the same special education class. And then he's going to give.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'd do, man. I don't know what I'd do. If we take a tackle, I'm going to freak out. Man,
Well,
all these
I
people
want you to
just,
take a tackle.
they just don't know anything. Oh, man.
That would
I can't
actually.
wait for it to be you that doesn't know anything.
Oh, that would be literally hilarious if
It
there's
just doesn't make any sense.
10
man.
just absolutely elite wide receivers on the board, and they take Joe Alt.
They're sitting at 5, and their neighbors are sitting there, and they're like, who do we want? The electric wide receiver or the standout tackle?
Yeah.
Neighbors
Give me
was,
the
Neighbors
tackle.
was looking for houses in Southern California the other day.
What?
Because he's a
That's
future
what
Ram.
me on.
You guys trade up, mortgage your future again for Neighbors.
No, he's not. We wouldn't trade up. He would just fall to us at
No, that's
60
honestly
or whatever we have.
in the third round.
Yeah.
No, you guys have first round pick this year.
I know, but we're taking his name. I don't even know how to say his first name, but Latu from UCLA. He's him.
Oh, I like that guy.
He's
I
so
do
good.
like Latu.
I don't.
It
I don't know his
sucks
first
because
name.
you're so right.
Is his name like Latu?
It is.
Yeah.
He's going to fall because of that neck injury, and he's just going to
Yep.
be a superstar. He's fantastic.
Dude.
I can't wait for him to go to the Cardinals.
Oh my gosh, Kobe Turner is going to be Aaron Donald, and then Latu is going to be a not racist Bosa. It's going to be insane.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't wait for the draft. National holiday for me. I will be watching every second of it.
Gosh, we got to get you a
And
girlfriend.
then after that, we'll have our rookie draft for the bingo team.
Oh,
So I can't wait for me
Anyways.
to convince you guys to trade for
Marvin
Anthony
Harrison
Richardson.
Jr. No matter what.
Oh,
What?
oh man,
Not even a discussion.
no.
We're
Okay. You guys-
the only chance that we don't take Odunze is if he goes to the Raiders,
Yeah,
which could happen.
that could happen. For sure, could happen. But Kyle, I have some team cores written out that we can propose and look through, see which ones we like better.
Fine.
So, but anything else for the night, boys?
Go Rams.
Nope.
All right, gentlemen. Well, you can find more on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at That's Bingo Pod. We will see you guys next time. Jesus.
Peace.